Welcome to Kiran Study Hub. Please subscribe to my channel in the YouTube. Hello students, let us study about the chapter power sharing. Belgium. Belgium is a small country in Europe, smaller in area than Haryana state of India. It borders four countries, the France, the Netherlands, the Germany and the Luxembourg. It has a population of a little over 1 crore, about half the population of Haryana. But the ethnic composition of Belgium is very complex. Of the country's total population, 59% lives in Flemish region and speak Dutch language. Another 40% people live in Wallonia region and speak French language. Remaining 1% Belgians speak German language. But the contrast is in the capital city Brussels, 80% speak French while 20% speak Dutch. In Belgium, the minority French-speaking community was relatively rich and powerful than the Dutch-speaking community. This was disliked or resented by the Dutch-speaking community, and the Dutch-speaking community got the benefit of economic development and education much later. Hence, this led to tensions between the Dutch-speaking and the French-speaking communities during the 1950s and 1960s. And the tension between the two communities was more acute or more severe in Brussels. The unique problem of the Belgium is in the country the Dutch speaking community are majority and the French are minority, but the contrast is in the capital city Brussels the French speaking are majority whereas Dutch speaking are minority. This slide shows you the map of Belgium. In the north there is Flemish region and the majority are Dutch speakers. In the south there is Wallonia region, the majority are French speakers. In the capital city Brussels, the majority are French whereas minority are Dutch, and in the eastern region there are German speakers. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is an island nation just a few kilometers off the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. It has a population of 2 crore, same as Haryana state of India. Sri Lanka is a very diverse nation where the majority community are Sinhala speakers who constitute 74% and the minority are Tamil speakers who constitute 18%. Among Tamils there are two subgroups. The Tamil natives of the country are called Sri Lankan Tamils who constitute 13%, and the rest of the Tamil community are whose forefathers came from India as plantation workers during colonial period are called Indian Tamils. Sri Lankan Tamils are living in the north and eastern part of the country, while most of Tamils are either Hindus or Muslims. Most of the Sinhala speaking people are Buddhist, and there are about 7% Christians who are both Tamil and Sinhala. This map shows you the map of Sri Lanka where the Sri Lankan Tamils are living in the north and eastern part of the country, whereas Sinhala community are living in the south and western part of the country. Majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka emerged as an independent country in 1948, but the leaders of Sinhala community wanted to secure dominance over government because of Sinhala majority in the country. As a result, the democratically elected government adopted a series of majoritarian measures to establish Sinhala supremacy. And those are, in 1956, an act was passed to recognize Sinhala as the only official language disregarding Tamil, and the governments followed preferential policies that favored Sinhala applicants for university positions and government jobs, and a new constitution stipulated that the state shall protect and foster Buddhism. Here the meaning of majoritarianism means the majority Sinhala community wanted to dominate the minority Tamil community in all the spheres from political, social, economic, etc. All the government measures taken by the Sinhala majority government gradually increased the feeling of alienation or isolation among the Sri Lankan Tamils. It means Sri Lankan Tamils felt that they are considered as second-class citizens in their own country. And the Sri Lankan Tamils felt that none of the major political parties led by Buddhist Sinhala leaders were sensitive to their language and culture, And even they felt that the constitution and the government policies denied them equal political rights, discriminated against them in getting jobs and other opportunities, and ignored their interest. As a result, the relations between the Sinhala and Tamil communities strained over time. Hence, the Sri Lankan Tamils launched many political parties, struggles for recognition of Tamil as an official language, for regional autonomy and equality of opportunity in securing education and jobs. But all the demands of the Sri Lankan Tamils for Tamil as an official language, for autonomy, everything was denied by the Sinhala majority government. By 1980s, several political organizations were formed demanding an independent Tamil Eelam state in the northern and eastern parts of Sri Lanka. And the distrust between the two communities turned into widespread conflict and finally turned into a civil war. Here, the civil war means it's a war within the country happening among the citizens of the country. Because of the civil war, thousands of people of both the communities have been killed. Many families were forced to leave the country as refugees, and many more lost their livelihoods. Finally, the civil war has caused terrible setback to the social, cultural, and economic life of Sri Lanka. And finally, the civil war was ended in 2009. Let us study Belgium. The Belgium leaders took a different path. They recognized the existence of regional differences and cultural diversities which was existing in the country. Between 1970 and 1993, they amended their constitution 4 times so as to work out an arrangement that would enable everyone to live together within the same country. And some of the amendments done by the Belgium government are: Constitution prescribes that number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in the central government. Some special laws require the support of majority of members from each linguistic group. Thus, no single community can make decision unilaterally, which means if a country wants to bring a special laws, it requires the support of majority of members of both the community. The next amendment was many powers of the central government was transferred or has been devolved to state government of the two regions of the country, which means state government got more powers and state governments are not subordinate to the central government. The next is the Brussels, which is a capital city of the Belgium, has a separate government in which both the communities, both French and Dutch communities, was given equal representation. In the Brussels, even though French was majority, the French-speaking people accepted equal representation in Brussels because the Dutch-speaking community has accepted equal representation in the central government. The last amendment of the constitution was establishment of community government. Apart from central government and state government, there is a third kind of government called community government. The community government is elected by the people belonging to one language community or one linguistic group, no matter where they live. Which means there are three community governments in Belgium. One is Dutch community government, French community government, and German community government. The powers of community government are: it can decide on matters regarding cultural, educational, and language-related issues of that particular linguistic group. So as a whole, the Belgium constitutional framework looks complex, but these amendments have worked well so far. This has avoided the civil war between the two communities, or it has avoided the civil war in the country, or it has avoided the civil strife between the two communities, and also it has avoided the possible division of the country on linguistic lines. So when many countries of the Europe came together to form an organization, a grouping called European Union, which is a economic grouping, Brussels was chosen as its headquarters because of its social harmony, and achievements and success happened because of its constitutional framework. What are the lessons we learned from the two stories of Belgium and Sri Lanka? Even though both are democracies, yet they dealt with the question of power sharing differently. Which means in Belgium, leaders understood that unity of the country is possible only by respecting the feelings and interests of different communities and regions. Hence, they brought 4 amendments to the constitution that resulted in the social harmony in the country, that brought equality in society. Hence, it avoided the civil war, and finally, Belgium saw development. In contrast, Sri Lanka saw majoritarianism, which means the Sinhala majority community wanted to dominate the minority Tamil community in economic sphere, political sphere, etc. Because of this majoritarianism, the Sri Lankan Tamils felt that they are isolated or they are alienated in their own country. They felt they are like second-class citizens in their own country, and finally, this led to civil war. And finally, this undermined the unity of the country. Thank you.